Hello, this video is for my Algebra 2 students. We'll be doing lesson 66 today. I am on page 269. And we're only going to be doing the first half of lesson 66, where they talk about signs of fractions. I'm going to say right off the bat, this lesson is a little confusing, a little disorienting. Pay attention. I'm going to be going over a lot of things before we get to the examples they have in the book. At the top of the page, they show you the fraction -3/4, and they have it written several times there, how you can write it. That negative, to make this this negative in front of the 3/4 can go any number of places. You could have it out in front of the fraction, in front of the 3/4. You could have it on top, so it's -3/4. And in the book, they show -3/4. You could have it in the denominator, so it's +3/4. Excuse me. And the book even goes through and adds positives wherever in front of every term that doesn't have a negative in front of it. So they'll show a positive here and a positive out here. Letter D on the right-hand side of page 269 goes really far. It says you can even have the opposite of -3/4. All of these are going to give you a negative number. And if you remember what we learned about multiplication and division of positive and negative numbers, anytime you have two positives together, you get a positive. Two negatives together, you get a positive. But if you have an odd number of negatives, your answer is negative. So here we've got two positives, which we can kind of dismiss. One negative, we're given -3/4. The two positives you can kind of dismiss. Your answer is negative. The two positives you can, again, dismiss. You've got a negative. But what about here? Well, a negative and a negative together gives you a positive. Which two negatives do I pair up? It doesn't matter. If I take these two together and make it positive, I still have a -4. If I take those two together to get positive, I still have a -3. If I have these two and put them together, I still got that negative out front. So the fact that there are three negatives together makes it positive. So that goes way back. Now, we're going to be dealing with something a little more difficult today. And in these problems, it's real important that you include fractions. They don't show fractions in the parentheses in this problem. So this is not in your book, by the way. I'm making this up. Here's A plus B. If I put a negative in front of it, and they are in parentheses, that negative gets distributed to both the A and B. This gives me -A minus B. It doesn't just, that negative just doesn't go to the first term. It just doesn't become -A plus B. It's -A minus B. If I had A minus B and I put a negative in front of it, that A inside that parentheses, it's positive. When I put that negative in front of it, it now becomes -A. That B, which was negative inside the parentheses, becomes positive, like that. By the way, I could rewrite this as B minus A if I want to. That fact that we can move those around, I forget what property that's called in math. Remember, I'm a math teacher. No, didn't take math. I didn't study to be a math professor. So there is, I can do that. I think it's associative property. I'm not sure. But that will be very important for what we're going to learn today. Now, here is the first example. We have 1 over x minus 3 minus 7a over -x plus 3. We know that in order to add two fractions, or in this case, subtract two fractions from each other, we must have a common denominator. And somebody's going to go, oh, the common denominator is x minus 3 times -x plus 3. Well, not so fast. I can change this right here. I'm going to put parentheses around it first, and see how this says negative the opposite. Guess what? I can put this plus and put the negative up there if I want to. Or I can change it to plus and put a negative down here, which is what we're going to be doing today. This is going to give me 1 over x minus 3 plus 7a over this negative here says change the sign of everything inside the parentheses. Anything that's positive becomes negative, and anything that negative is negative becomes positive. So this negative x becomes positive x. This positive 3 becomes negative 3. I didn't have to go find a common denominator. All I had to do was change this sign and this sign here, and I have a common denominator of x minus 3 now, and I can put the two numerators together over one denominator. Don't make the mistake of thinking that 1 plus 7a is 8a. It's still only 1 plus 7a. Those cannot combine. Had this said 1a plus 7a, then yes, we can add them together. But it doesn't say that. The second example says 4x plus 5 plus 2x minus 3. And this is over x minus 3. And this is over 3 minus x. Getting a little close to all that stuff over there. Let me erase that real quick. Just a part of it, because I want to refer to this. Now, over here, we were able to just take this negative that was there and say, oh, I'm going to change that to a positive and put the negative here in front of this denominator and change it. I can't do, well, I can do something similar to that. I want to change that 3 minus x. And parentheses are crucial. I can put a negative in front of it and change this positive to a negative right there. Okay? I can change two of the signs. Notice everything was positive to begin with. Well, a negative and a negative makes a positive. I don't want to put a negative up on the top also, up on the numerator. It's just right there in between. Let's see what that does. That gives me 4x plus 5 over x minus 3 minus 2x minus 3 over negative. That negative is distributed to both the 3 and the x. That 3 is positive there. It becomes negative here. That x is negative here. Now it's positive. Well, this says x minus 3. This says negative 3 plus x. Remember what I said earlier. When I had negative a plus b, I can rearrange it to say b minus a. So this negative 3 plus x can say x minus 3. I do have a common denominator right here. So now I can combine the numerators. Again, be very careful. Parentheses are important. So this is going to give me 4x plus 5, but this negative now, I can change that to plus negative there also if I want to. I doubt if you want to. This gives me negative 2x plus 3. You can see it's pretty confusing. You got to really keep your head about you, your wits about you. I encourage you to put parentheses and move that negative around as is necessary. All over x minus 3. 4x minus 2x will give me 2x. 5 plus 3 will give me 8 over x minus 3. Okay, a lot going on there. Kind of confusing. Let's take one of the practice and do another. We're at 9 minutes. That's a long lesson. I'm going to do letter B. On page 271, it says 3x plus 7 over negative x minus 4. There's a 4 there. Plus x minus 7 over x plus 4. All right. I don't like this negative x minus 4. I much prefer this x plus 4. I can change the sign of these. I can put a negative in front of it. Basically, I'm multiplying this side by negative 1, this denominator. But if I do that, I have to do it here also. Earlier, when the one we were changing was the second term, I changed the plus in front of it to a negative, and then eventually changed the numerator to negative also. Here, I'm just going to start off right to that. I'm multiplying by negative 1 over negative 1, basically. In the numerator, that'll give me negative x, negative 3x plus minus 7. Stumbling over my words. Negative 3x minus 7 plus x minus 7. Oh, I haven't showed that we've got a common denominator. This changes this negative x to positive x. It changes that negative 4 to positive 4. Yes, we do have a common denominator. We can combine everything on top. Negative 3x minus 7 plus x minus 7 all over x plus 4. Negative 3x plus 1x gives me negative 2x. Negative 7 minus 7 is minus 14. That's a 14 there. It's a weird looking 4. Over x plus 4. There you have it. Best of luck. We'll have another one soon. See you guys. 11:39.